Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So, in this video, I'll be explaining a very interesting and indeed an amazing library which is Taipy. Okay, so what exactly is Taipy? So, Taipy is the one and only solution if you want to create an amazing GUI or let's say a web application. So, with the help of Taipy, you can, uh, use the inbuilt options from the Taipy and you can create your own GUI app which has your let's say the machine learning tool which or a model which you have already made. So with the help of that you can integrate it to Taipy, or if you want to create a fully functional website you can also make it with the help of Taipy and Python. Now it sounds interesting, right? Because HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, these three things are like the core of building a website or a React JS. But imagine like how you can create a website with the help of Taipy or a GUI app, let's say for keeping a track of your sales report, right? Or let's say a GUI application wherein you can create multiple charts or graphs, graphical representation for your API like Open Chat GPT if you have created. Okay, so these things, all these stuff, so in short, a complete library which helps you to create your own web applications inside Python. Okay, so let's get started. So before getting started with Taipy, so it's spelled out as Taipy. Okay, and if you want to work with Taipy in Python, what you have to do first, you have to go ahead and install it. Okay, so for that, what you can do, you can write pip install in your command line. Okay, and you can write Taipy. That's it. Okay, and it will be installed. Fine. So now when I have written pip install Taipy, so it will show as a requirement already satisfied because I have already installed the Taipy, okay, in my terminal. So I press enter, and then after that, if you see the requirement already satisfied. Fine. So now that we have the Taipy in library in the Python, next what we can do. So how to get started, how to create your application. Fine. So before moving forward, I'll show you the complete, you know, GitHub link wherein you can get the Taipy, all the documentation, everything you can get it from here. Okay. So including like the features what Taipy has, or how you can get started with Taipy, everything you can get it over here, installation, the manifest, the contributors, and how to create your projects, everything you can explore, documentation and everything. So with the help of this particular link itself, I'll go ahead and explore the documents and I'll show you how to create your stuffs in your Taipy GUI basically. Okay, so like you want to create a button, you want to create a slider, likewise you do it in HTML and CSS. Similar ways you can also do it with Taipy in your GUI app. Okay, first of all, let us open the app. Okay, so how will you open the app? So for that, what we have to do, so we'll write from Taipy import GUI. Okay, GUI means the graphic user interface wherein you will be creating your application. Fine. And here, now I want to run it, so I'll write if name is equal to main, then run that app. Okay, so how will you run it? I'll write GUI and then .1. Okay, so when I save this and when I run this particular Python file, which is me.py from the terminal, what will happen? There will be a GUI interface created, which will have nothing in it, just the GUI interface will be created. Okay, so basically I am importing the GUI package from Taipy library. Okay, and after that I'm just trying to run it with a condition like when the name of let's say the application which I'm trying to create is inside main, that means inside the GUI, then you have to run it. Okay, so let me save this and let's open up the terminal and run it off. So I'll write python me.py, okay, and enter. So it will take some time and then the server will run. Okay, so now if you see, we have a Taipy app which is running at the server 127.0.01:5000. Okay, and this is your whole interface wherein we will be working. So currently it is blank. Once we put some code in our coding from our editor, from Sublime editor, then only you'll be able to see the inputs over here inside your app. Okay, so next thing what we can do, suppose I want to just display some text in this particular app. How will you do that? So basically consider this as a page, okay, and you want to, like, you do it in HTML, right? So consider this as an HTML page and you want to display some text. So how will you do that? So for that we can go up to this and here I'll write page is equal to, and inside this let's take, I'm taking an example of HTML h1 tag, okay, and here I'll write hi, this is Swarna using Taipy, okay, and then close the h1 tag, okay, and then also close the inverted commas. Now if you see here what I have done, here I have taken a variable page, okay, which represents the main context of our website, that is this one, okay, fine. And then inside this, inside the inverted commas, so basically the syntax is you have to use inverted commas 3 times, and then inside this you can mention if you want to put a title to your page, so here h1, and then whatever thing you have to write it, you can put it inside the h1 tag like we do in HTML. Okay, now save this off and then let's try to run this off again. Fine, so here we write so after some time the server will be running and okay, let's check off the issues. So basically the issue is like you have to run this particular variable, right? So inside the GUI you have to pass on the parameter. So I'll pass GUI page, okay? And then we'll save this and then we'll go ahead and run this. Okay, so now let's check it off. So there should be a header which should come up in your GUI application. Fine. Okay, so issues. Let me check again. Let's close this app and then go here again and then try to run this. Okay. So try to run it again. So I'll write py. Let's wait for some time. Okay, yeah, now it is up. So we have our app and here if you see, this is our h1 which we have used, that is hi, this is one I'm using Taipy. Okay, so this is how you can display something on your GUI application using Taipy. Now if I just want I don't want to use the h1 HTML over here, so what you can do, you can replace this with hashtag, okay, and you can remove this, then also it will work for you. Okay, so I'll save this, I'll go ahead and I'll refresh it. Okay, so then also it will be the same. That means either you can use the h1 tag like you use in the HTML, or you can likewise use the hashtag, that is a markup language for displaying something in your GUI application using Taipy. Okay, now let's say we want to add some buttons, or I want to first of all this particular text which is displayed at the left hand side of the screen, I want this particular text to be displayed right at the center of the screen. Okay, so how will you center it? So for that, what you can do, I'll make this particular line as the title of my page. Okay, so I'll take a variable as title, and here I'll put this. Okay, and then I'll be using this particular title inside the page. Okay, so I'll write, so I'll just write, I'll use the markup language, that is with the help of a less than sign and a dash, and here inside the inverted commas you need to write title. Okay, and then a greater than sign and then a dash, closed. Okay, sorry, a dash and then a greater than sign. This is closed. Now this particular title will be called right from here. Okay, and I want this particular title to be displayed at the center. So for that, what we can do, again a less than sign and a dash, and then here I can mention like text dash center. Okay, because I want it in the center, and then this. Fine. So if when I run this particular code, what will happen? So this time here, whatever title consists of, whatever text is there inside the title, whatever we have given it, that particular text will come up in the center of the page. Okay, but right now it is at the left hand side. So basically this particular header which we have given, it will come up on the center of the page. Okay, so let's check it out. So I'll just save this, and I'll open up the HTML, and here I'll write and we'll wait for the server to come up, and then we'll see it. Okay, so here it says text center and this. Okay, so there might be issues. Okay, so in this case, what we can do, sure, we can turn this off, and then let's check out. So what will happen inside this particular less than sign and dash, whatever is written, that means this part, this particular title, it will be text center. Okay, so let's save this and let's check again. So I'll run this py, and then wait for some time for the server to come up. Yeah, now you can see it says, hi, this is Juana using Taipy, and now it is being at the center of the screen. Okay, so that's how you can use the element text center for putting it into the center of the screen. Okay, now one question can arise in your mind, like every time I have to go to the terminal and then check out for the changes which I have been doing in the GUI application which I have created with the help of Taipy. So in order to avoid that situation, what you can do inside this particular run parameter, you can just write use. If you have used Flask, you should remember this. So we can write use reloader, and we can set this off to true. Okay, we can set this to true. So what will happen each time, like whenever you do the changes and you then refresh your GUI application using Taipy, which is this one, then whatever changes you have made, it will get over you, it will reflect over you. You don't have to go to the terminal and do it again. Okay, for instance, right now I'm not using this because there are some issues coming up in my Sublime text editor, which is because of the reloader function. So for the instance, I'll just use the command prompt in order to every time check the changes which I have made to the Taipy GUI application. So now that we know how to center the text, let's move on to add some more interesting features to the applications, like some elements. Let's say if you want to add some button to it. Okay, so for adding the button, if you see this particular documentation of the Taipy team that is on the GitHub, so I'll put this particular link in the description section, in the comment section as well. You can get the link and you can export it off and use it. So here, if you scroll down, you can see the explore the doc section. Okay, now when I click the explore the doc section, you'll be able to see like charts, table, buttons, input, sliders, and everything which you can create. So let's click on button. Okay, and herein, so basically inside the Taipy, these are all controls. Okay, so for creating a button, what we have to do is, let's say we want to so in order to implement this particular button in in our website, that is, we have created with the help of Taipy. So basically the Taipy GUI app. So what we can do, we can put off this in our code. Okay. So here, right in the page section, okay, we can press enter and then the button. That means what will happen? This is the first button, okay, and the label which is known as which we have written as button, and then the second button. So you have to write it like this. Okay, so two buttons will be created. Fine. So I'll save this and I'll run it again. Okay, so here let's see if the buttons are displayed in our Taipei app or not. So now if you see, we have two buttons. The one is button, labeled as button 2 and then the button 1. Okay, these two other buttons which got created. Okay, so this is how you can put some elements to your application, the GUI application which you have created with the help of Taipy. Fine. Next, what comes like if you want to put so like a simple button, a label button. So for that, what you can do, you can use the label. That means button label. That means whatever you have to write inside the button, okay, that will come over here. Fine. And then it will be in a form of a button. So if you want to, check how it looks like in the HTML like we do, so button label, and then Taipy button. So like this you can write if you're using it in HTML. Like inside Taipy, if you want to use it in the form of an HTML. But if you want to use it like a markdown, so here we can do the changes. So here, if I just want to change it, let's say send, and this I want to, okay, not this one. This one I want to keep it as receive. Okay, and let's keep this as send. Okay, and when we save it, now when we see the changes, what will happen? The button inside the button receive and send will be written. Okay, so that's how you can put it with the help of the markup language or HTML or Python, whatever you want to use inside the Taipy, and then you can see it in your GUI application. Okay, so let's see that. Let's save this. And it's again, I have to go ahead and run the terminal. So I run it from here. Let's wait for the server to come up and then let's see how it looks like in our Taipy GUI app. So if you see now, it is receive and send. Okay, so these how you can change when you're using it with the Taipy library inside Python. Fine. Next, what let's say we want to create some chart. That means some graphical representation in our Taipy GUI app. So for that, what we have to do or what we can do for that. Okay. So for chart, if you can see, I'm just showing it for reference so that you can also view this particular link, that is the link available in the GitHub by the Taipy team. So here, suppose you want to create chart graphical representations like this, okay, or like these, like the bubble or scatter plots or line charts, you can also create it in Python itself, or you can also create it in the Taipy GUI app itself. Okay, so let us make that first of all. Before that, I'll show you something like how you can actually put a slider into your GUI application, and then with the help of slider itself you can manipulate your graphical chart which you want to create. Okay, so first of all, let's go for the slider. So if you see slider over here, so how you can add a slider to your code in the Taipy. So here you have to use basically the whatever value you wanted to put inside that slider. That means suppose 5, 10, 15, you can put it inside it, and then the slider name. Okay, so let's say if I go to the page section and right over here I put it this thing. Okay, now you can, select the range between 0 to 100. Okay, the range for this particular slider will be from 0 to 100. Okay, and how you can set up the range? So for the range, what you can do, you can put minimum equal to 1, maximum equal to 10. Okay, so this you can set up the range for it. Okay, so suppose, let me first of all show you this, how this slider will actually work. Okay, I'll save it and then I'll run it again. So sure. Let's wait for the server to come up and let's see. So now if you see this, we have a slider right over here. Okay, let me let it down a bit. Yeah, now the slider is right there. The number is also there at the top, wherein you can see like how it works. Great. Okay, so a bit more. Yeah, so this is a working slider. Now what we have to do next is we want to go ahead and create a graphical representation for this particular GUI app, wherein with the help of the slider, when you slide this particular slider, the graph should act according to the slider. How will you do that, or how will you create that? So let's go for it. Fine. So for that, what we can do, we can take the help of the mathematical library also. So I'll write from math and then I'll import the cos from there, because I'll be using the cos and exponential thing. So cos and exponential. Okay. Now here, let's say I give the value as 10. Okay, that means this particular value to the slider, this value I give it as 10. So I'll write value is equal to 10. Okay, and let me remove this. I want this as of now. And inside the page, what we can do, so here I'll write Taipy. I want to create a dynamic chart. Okay, and here inside this, what we can do, let's say I write as value and then colon, and then this I'll replace it with the text. Okay, and next on I'll go ahead and put on the slider over here. So again, let me use the less than sign and this, and then I'll put value. Okay, and then the slider, and here I'll put the functionality. That means when I change the slider, then only the graphical representation should work. So I'll write here on change, okay, which is equal to on slider. Okay, this I've done. Next, what we have to do is since we are working for a chart, so let me first remove this. I don't need button anymore. So we are working for a chart. So I'll put here data, and then here I'll write as chart. Okay, and then I'll close this. So what will happen? This is another parameter which I have passed in for the chart, and this particular data I'll give it inside the function definition, like for creating the whole graph, right? So here now we can remove these. We don't want these. Fine. So now this page section is done. So what will happen inside the page section? So first of all, Taipy dynamic chart, this will come up, and then you will be having a slider. Okay, like when you change that particular slider, then only the graphical data will be changed. Okay, so for that we have to use the function. We have to create the function for the graphical representation. So first of all, let's create for on slider. That means when you work with the slider, the graphical data should change. So I'll write def on slider. Okay, and here I'll write as state. That means what's the state of that particular slider, accordingly the graph should come up. Okay, and inside the state I'll write state dot data is equal to compute data, okay, and state dot value. Fine, this is done. Now next what we have to do is this particular function, which is compute data, we have to work on this. So here I'll write another function, compute data, okay, and here I'll explain why I have written decay and integer, okay, and I'll put it as, let's say, list, okay, and here I want to return so I'll write the expression of the graph now. So I'll return I by 6, okay, and let's say the exponential form I want to write it as I decay 600, okay, and for I range 100. Okay, now next what we can do is we'll go off and write equal to compute data, and inside this we can pass on the value, that means it is 10. Okay, now let me make you understand what does these two functions actually do. Okay, so here what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a dynamic chart where, let's say, we have a list of 100 items. Okay, I'm having a list which has 100 items altogether in it. Okay, and it represents from the position in the list that starts from 0. Okay, so I have a list. Okay, let's say the list is inside a curly bracket and there are 100 altogether list in it, and the starting point is of the first list is 0. Okay, and I'm dividing it by 6. Okay, so that means this I divided by 6 will give me the value for each particular 100 items which are present inside the list. Okay, then what is happening, I'll take a cost. I'm taking a cost, that is cosine, for giving up this particular result. Okay, and then in my next step what I'm doing, I'm multiplying it with an expression that is exponential form. Okay, so I'm multiplying it by the decay value and I'm dividing it by 100. So this is my decay value, I'm dividing it by 100 or 600, whatever value you want to give. And then at the end I'm taking off the exponential. So how does this particular line of statement work? So here a cost wave will come up wherein you have 100 values in it, and this particular I value will iterate. We remove everything, then you'll understand. So this particular I value will iterate from 0 to 100. Okay, and accordingly the cosine wave will be formed in our GUI application, that is our Taipy application. Okay, so in short, this formula will give me each value for the 100 items which I have inside the list, and it will calculate for from 0 to 99 because we have taken it to 100. So it will create the values for 100 items inside the list. Okay, so 100 values for 100 items will be created with the help of a cosine function. Okay, now let's see how it will work and how that looks like in our Taipy app. So let me save it again. And now I'll open the terminal and let me write and let's wait for the server to come up and then see magic of the Taipy. So now if you see, the server is up and we have a slider right over here. The graph is created, okay, which is a cosine wave, and when you move the slider accordingly, this particular graph will act. So whatever value you give it to, accordingly the data will be there in the graph. Okay, see the magic of Taipy. And then what you can do, you can download it as PNG. Like when you click it over here, it will be downloaded as in the PNG format. And then you can also pan it. You can also zoom it. Like clicking on this, you can zoom it off. Okay, and then you can also go ahead and pan. You can also do the box select, like suppose some area of it you want to select it and cut off, then you can also do it, like this part, right? The box select, you can select this off, cut it off, and then go ahead and save it. Okay, like this portion only you want, you can do it. And you can also do this is known as the lasso select, wherein you can select the portion of the whole dynamic chart. Okay, so that's how you can work with Taipy. I'll be coming up with more videos on this, wherein I'll be creating some more interesting website inside the Taipy itself, and also like how to create a dashboard within Taipy itself.